finite focus on children, which from a fiscal and fiduciary standpoint is difficult. So we gather here this evening to hear whatever the range of opinions are in this room. But please note, I'm sharing with you tonight, I've heard it from all ends, or both ends, if you will, of the spectrum, of individuals who will say the school-to-prison pipeline is alive and well. Please stop the disproportionality of disciplining students. I've heard from families and teachers who have said the behavior in our schools is just unacceptable, and our children and our teachers are unable to teach. And so I want to open it up to you. You have, if I see some people have come in since I started, you should have, and I have more post-it notes up front. I have post-it notes here. I also have pencils. I want to thank Dr. McGuire and Tiffany Flanders for opening up with Davis to us this evening. And since it is testing season, we have a lot of pencils. So we have pencils, we have post-it notes. You will note that there are pieces of paper around. I have 3 pieces of paper. There's one right there on that door. There's a second right behind you, the door that is closed underneath the exit sign. And there's one piece of paper right here. And so you can pick wherever you want to go in a few minutes. But the question that's posed to you this evening, and what I want you to do is to have some reflection time and think, and then you can go to whatever area you want to and put as many post-its as you want. But the question is, what are specific strategies and supports the school district can implement to address student behavior in our schools? Let me say that question again. What are specific strategies and support the school district can implement to address student behavior in our schools? That's the question. And so after you have a few minutes to reflect, if you want to get up and read that question again for yourself, you may. And again, I'll walk around and make sure I put more post-it notes at tables if you don't have it. But we're going to give you time to put down your thoughts. And then after you have time to share your thoughts, we're going to do a gallery walk, and people can see what others have said, and then we'll open it up for a conversation. I've come to this discussion this evening not with an answer. The only answer that I believe our children deserve is to have an optimal learning environment. And so whatever we can do to make sure that the learning environment is the best it can be for kids, if that means we need to address student behavior, then let's have that conversation. But I also want to have that conversation in the context of how can we be fair to all students? How can we cut down the disproportionality that we're seeing in our student discipline data? And that's why I think this becomes a very complicated conversation. It's very complex. It's not as easy as it may seem on the surface. I hope you would all agree. But I'm sure through this activity and conversation this evening, we'll come up with some new ideas. So if you don't have post-its, just raise your hand. And then I'll walk around with some pencils in a few minutes, and we'll get started. So does everyone have a Post-it note, at least one, or stacked at your table? I'll take that as a yes. Does everyone have a writing utensil? Awesome. I'm going to take that as a yes. And so now, at your pleasure, you may get up if you want and take a look at the question. You can reflect on it, but the question, once again, is what are specific strategies and supports the school district can implement to address student behavior in our schools? The purpose of the question is for you to be proactive, for us to approach this from a positive perspective of here are things that we would like to see. And let's generate the conversation. Your ideas is what we're looking for. Once you have your ideas, you have 3 areas where you can post your Post-it notes. There's one poster right here at this door. Go to the door here. Located right here. There's a second poster underneath the exit sign, and there's a third poster right in the front here. Please take your time, be reflective with your strategies or suggestions in terms of supports, and after a few minutes, we'll do a gallery walk. Now, I'll explain what a gallery walk is in a few minutes. Thank you.
How's the sound picking up? Good.
My only challenge is I can't get on social media here, so I have to put my cell phone on. I have to link to my cell phone so I can share the link. So I've got to work with Taylor to figure out a better way to.
But it's a nice tool.
It is a really nice tool.
That's great.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with this tool. It has to do with
Right. That's awesome.
protecting kids from social media.
That's good.
Yeah.
Two sixth graders and
What's your name, sir? Hi, nice to meet you, sir. What's your name?
thanks for hosting us.
There's no sense in filming in every spot. There are a few people watching. I think.
to the end of providing our suggestions. What I would ask you to do at this time is to look at other posters. So if you gravitated to one of the posters, please rotate to another poster and read what your neighbors, your colleagues, collective friends of CCSD have written and said about what they believe the district should do from a strategy and support standpoint in addressing student behavior. So take time now to review and view the suggestions from your colleagues and friends. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you for your participation so far. We're at the 6:30 mark of our evening. Did everyone get a chance to see at least one of the poster areas? So, I have one last activity for you. And the activity is this. You can pick which area you go to. There's three of them. You can pick which area you go to, but I'm going to ask a group. So I need you to pick an area. And once you have picked an area, I want the group to sort the suggestions in certain categories. Does that make sense? So now you have all of the suggestions. As a team, wherever you want to go, you're going to sort the suggestions in categories. So for example, I saw restorative justice. I saw PBIS. That may be a sorted group. I saw more clear discipline rules, or I saw having in-school suspension rules. That could be a sorted category. But I'm going to ask you as a team to sort these suggestions. You may be asking why. Why do we have to do this activity? The reason why I want you to do this activity is the same reason why I started the opening of this evening and this activity and this conversation, which is there's a spectrum of perspectives when it comes to student behavior. And I think it is actually manifesting itself in the responses you've provided this evening. So as a community, I'm going to ask you to now sort your suggestions into categories. Does that make sense? So you get to pick your area, and then you get to sort. Typically, when people get to pick their area, they will go to the place where they place their suggestion. Typically. But you don't have to. So I'm going to ask you to do that now. I'm going to give us about 10 minutes to sort, and then after we've sorted, we'll come back together as a team. Okay? Thank you.
Proximity is everything.
That's what I said.
Master teacher at work. I love
This falls under teacher training. So my wraparound, this is family engagement. Yeah, I think that's tyranny. So this would be staff.
Yeah, some's about getting more body, and some of it's about training, but we already have. Yes, the top one, special.
Yeah, it's all part of it.
May I interrupt you for 1 second? I'm going to try to interrupt you for 1 second. I apologize. So, before everyone leaves their area, I would like to ask that we have someone report out the different categories that your team put together. Okay? So is there one brave soul that's willing to share the different categories that have been identified? If not, I can call on some other friends. Thank you. Sound like you're... Do you mind sharing first the categories that have been determined?
I didn't really hear them, but I'll guess.
Sure.
This area of parent involvement. One of my favorites is have a required lack of parents to attend school with their child. This one's about clear, evident consequences of bad behavior and consistency. This one's about policy, like cell phone policy, drug policy. This one is about supporting the students. And then this one's about staff, I believe, faculty. Trained behavior specialists that conduct behavior assessments. More behavior specialists in the schools. So that's how that works.
Awesome. Can we give them a round of applause, please? That's excellent. Thank you.
I could have done it without this guy.
Very good. Do you mind going next? Thank you.
Okay, we have the similar three areas, professional development and staffing. That was a large group that came together. Also consistent expectations and consequences, and that's just not from the school but district provided, and also family engagement. Those were the three areas that.
So we're hearing some common themes.
Yes.
That's excellent. Can we give this table a round of applause? That's good work. And then we have the last group in the back there. Is there anyone able to help us out? Thank you, Dr. McGuire. This is your school, so the floor is yours.
I wasn't here, but I'm going to take a while to get here.
Thank you.
Staff and support. There's clear expectations, looking at policies and clear lines of communication. And there's one out here about reasonable.
Thank you. Let's give Dr. McGuire a hand. So I think some of the themes that we heard, and we're going to capture all of your suggestions and make sure that they are shared with the proper individuals. But this is now an open opportunity for you to share just general thoughts that may not have been captured on your Post-it, things that you would like to share. I think what has emerged, I think the rezoning piece, so thank you, Dr. McGuire, for sharing it. I think it shares the intersection again of the complexity of this work. Dr. Richard Welch, who's with the University of Georgia, has done an extensive study of our student discipline data, and he shares often that we can't forget, and it's a statistic that stays with me very closely, that black males in our school district make up 25% of the entire school district population, but they make up more than half of all the discipline. And that number actually increases up to nearly 60% in his study at the elementary school level. That group of students in particular lose more days of school and instruction than any other demographic in our school system. And the complexity of it is, that's not excusing any behavior in any way, shape, or form. However, this is not as clear-cut of a conversation as it may appear. On the flip side, and then so I don't want to sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but this is what I've heard throughout the community. What people have said is, but when it comes down to the education of my child and the instruction and the safety of my child, I need to make sure that the school district is doing everything it can do. And we appreciate you being tolerant and working through challenges with certain students, but at some point, that tolerance shouldn't be at the expense of my child. How many of you heard that statement shared as well? So, I understand, I've heard both sides of the argument. They're fair statements. And so that's why these constructive suggestions that you've provided this evening is so helpful. Any other comments that you would want to share with the entire group right now? The floor is open in terms of just thoughts and perspectives. Yes, ma'am.
So I'd like to start with the thank you. As an educator, which I've been, typically you have these things handed down to you, and this is what you will do. And also as a parent, and in order to address these issues, it's going to take a concerted effort. There's usually a lot of finger pointing, the parents need to do this, the teachers need to do that, administrators. It's everyone's community, everyone's children. So thank you for having this conversation. It is complex, and one of the things that I wanted to bring up just our implicit bias, is the implicit bias, which we all have, but perhaps that is connected to the disproportionate amount of males that we're seeing, African American males, losing more instructional time. So Perhaps that comes from maybe teacher training, as we get new teachers, but we need to look at implicit bias and address them, put it out on the table, discuss it, and then figure out what is going to be best for all children. So thank you.
Thank you. As others may consider sharing their thoughts with the group, the district is taking a proactive approach to that work. We have a professional development school district partnership with the University of Georgia, and one of the concepts we're talking about with them right now is developing an induction program that's just more than a one-time situation for new teachers. So typically in school districts, you hire a slew of new teachers and you have a new teacher orientation, and it typically happens in the beginning of the school year. You let them loose, and the district in many cases doesn't touch base with them again. And I think that's a flaw on our part. So in working with UGA, we're working to create and be more deliberate about an induction program where we stay with not only our new teachers, but our new principals throughout the entire school year to talk about some of these issues, and to make sure that we're supporting people along the way. Yes, ma'am.
Are there principals in this room who, in my limited experience with children in the school district and having been a parent volunteer who spent some time in the office, and from talking to the principals, my experience is that principals spend the majority of their days navigating behavior problems. Are there principals, those are two very wide general statements that you made, and then there's a big ocean in between. And it would be interesting for me, maybe productive, to hear the ideas that principals have.
So we talk to principals often. There are some in the room, and I think, and we have some assistant principals in the room as well. I think they are here more to participate in the process. I won't call them out, but only if they want to share. But what I can tell you is that there's a consistent conversation between our principals, assistant principals, our behavioral specialists, and the district in regards to what supports and strategies that they see is necessary to support their work on a daily basis. And so that conversation is ongoing, and it's two-way, always. Yes?
I'm curious as to what we can expect. There are lots of teachers, lots of parents in here, in the form of feedback on these types of forums. And that too, I greatly appreciate, I think I tell you that every time, that the opportunity to express